Hello, my friends, and welcome to Senior Health After 50. Let me ask you something that might surprise you. Have you ever been told that if you're living with diabetes, you should stay away from fruit completely? Maybe someone looked at you and said, "Don't touch that apple, it's nothing but sugar." Or maybe you've carried that quiet fear yourself, wondering if a single bite of the wrong fruit could send your blood sugar soaring. I understand that fear. I have decades as a physician and researcher digging into the complex ways food shapes the human body. And here's the twist I want you to hear right away. Fruit isn't the villain you've been led to believe. In fact, when chosen wisely, it can become one of your most powerful allies, stabilizing blood sugar, improving circulation, protecting your heart, and even bringing joy back to your meals. Stay with me, because we're not just naming fruits today. We're uncovering the science, the stories, and the surprising lessons from people, including world leaders and everyday patients, that reveal how these simple foods can transform energy, resilience, and the quality of life after 50. When I first began practicing medicine decades ago, one of the most striking patterns I noticed was how deeply fearful many older adults with diabetes were of fruit. They would lean in during appointments, almost whispering as though confessing a guilty pleasure. "Doctor, I haven't touched an orange in years. I just know it will wreck my blood sugar." That fear wasn't born out of ignorance. It came from years of oversimplified advice. Avoid sugar at all costs, advice that blurred the crucial difference between refined sugar and natural fruit sugars locked inside a nutritional package. Let's break that down clearly. Yes, fruit contains sugars like fructose and glucose. Yes, if you drink a tall glass of orange juice or munch on a candy bar, your blood sugar will skyrocket. But here's what most people miss. Fruit isn't just sugar. It's a sophisticated design of fiber, water, vitamins, antioxidants, and phytonutrients that work together like an orchestra. The fiber acts like a sponge, holding back the sugar, slowing its release into your bloodstream. Instead of a dangerous spike and crash, you get a gentle curve of energy your body can manage. Think of it as a time-release capsule built by nature itself. An apple is not a cookie. A pear is not a candy bar. The body reads them completely differently. And this isn't just a medical observation. It's something I've seen play out in the lives of leaders and icons across the world. Steve Jobs, for example, was famously drawn to fruit, sometimes even experimenting with fruit-based diets. While some of his choices were extreme and not always medically sound, the fascination he had points to a truth many health pioneers sensed early. Fruit carries more than sweetness. It carries information for our cells. On the other end of the spectrum, leaders like Barack Obama have spoken about moderation and balance in diet, reminding us that the key isn't fear, it's wisdom. The irony is that some of the most powerful people on the planet, people with the pressure of nations on their shoulders, learn the same lesson my patients slowly come to realize. Avoiding fruit entirely isn't the path to health. Learning how to incorporate it wisely, that's where the power lies. So, when I see a patient avoid fruit out of fear, I think back to what science and human experience both teach us. Fruit isn't the villain. In fact, in the right form, it may be one of the simplest allies we have for stabilizing blood sugar, nourishing the body, and giving us the strength to live fully after 50. Fruit number 1, apple, the everyday superhero. There's an old saying we've all heard, "An apple a day keeps the doctor away." For most people, it sounds like a cliche. But when you actually study the science behind it, you realize there's remarkable truth hiding inside that phrase. Apples are not glamorous like exotic superfoods from distant lands. They're simple, affordable, and available on nearly every corner of the world. Yet their impact on health can be profound. I remember a patient of mine, Harold, a retired teacher in his late 60s. He loved sweets, cookies, pastries, you name it. But he was terrified of fruit. For years, he believed fruit sugar was no different from candy. His blood sugar was unstable, his cravings intense. I gave him one assignment: replace his afternoon cookie with one medium apple. At first, he laughed nervously. "Doctor, that's sugar too." But after some explanation, apples have a glycemic index around 36, which is low, and they contain soluble fiber called pectin that slows sugar absorption and even lowers cholesterol. He agreed to try. 3 months later, Harold returned with a new energy. His sugar logs were steadier, his cravings for cookies nearly gone, and he had lost weight without even trying. His only major change? That one apple a day. What makes apples so unique isn't just the low glycemic index, it's the packaged fiber, water, vitamins, and plant compounds working together like a symphony. The pectin inside acts like a sponge, trapping sugar and cholesterol, releasing them slowly, and protecting your arteries. It's not an artificial pill, it's nature's engineering. And let me be honest, this isn't advice I give from an ivory tower. I eat apples myself almost every day. It's not just something I recommend, it's a practice I live. Because I've seen the science, I've seen the patient stories, and I've seen how something so ordinary can become a quiet superhero in our daily battle for better health after 50. Fruit number 2, berries, nature's tiny powerhouses. Berries are small, but don't let their size fool you. They're among the most concentrated sources of antioxidants and protective compounds you can find. Strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, these little jewels aren't just delicious, they're powerful medicine disguised as food. They're packed with anthocyanins, the pigments that give them their rich red and blue colors. These compounds protect blood vessels, improve circulation, and reduce inflammation. For people living with diabetes or vascular problems, this is no small thing. I once worked with a patient, Linda, a 72-year-old grandmother who complained of cold feet, leg cramps, and signs of poor circulation. Instead of reaching for another prescription first, I asked her to add just 1 cup of mixed berries 3 times a week alongside her walking routine. 6 months later, her legs felt stronger, her feet warmer, and her cholesterol levels improved noticeably. This isn't only true for everyday people. Think about Nelson Mandela, who spent decades in prison under extreme stress. When he was finally free, he placed a strong emphasis on eating simple, fresh, plant-based foods, including fruits and vegetables. He once spoke of how berries and other natural foods gave him energy during his later years, a testament to how even the most resilient leaders turn back to nature's simplicity for strength. I've found the same in my own life. On weekends, one of my favorite rituals is a bowl of Greek yogurt topped with blueberries and walnuts. It's comfort food that doubles as cardiovascular medicine. That's the beauty of berries. They give you pleasure and protection in the same bite. Fruit number 3, citrus fruits, the zest of life. Citrus fruits, grapefruits, oranges, lemons, are some of the simplest yet most powerful allies for our health. They're loaded with vitamin C, potassium, and flavonoids, compounds that help blood vessels stay flexible, reduce inflammation, and give the immune system an extra layer of armor. Now, there's an important caveat here. Grapefruit, in particular, can interfere with certain medications, especially those for cholesterol and blood pressure. I always remind patients, talk to your doctor before making it a daily habit. But once it's cleared, citrus can become one of the easiest and most affordable tools for protecting your health. Even athletes at the highest level have turned to citrus for endurance. During the 1970s, tennis legend Bjorn Borg was known for eating oranges courtside to maintain his stamina in grueling matches. That's not a coincidence, it's physiology at work. Vitamin C and electrolytes from citrus fruits help the body fight oxidative stress and recover faster. The truth is, citrus doesn't promise miracles, but it delivers consistency. A daily orange or lemon in your tea won't just refresh you, it supports the very systems that keep you standing strong. It's proof that health doesn't come from exotic powders or magic pills. It often comes from the small, steady choices made in kitchens and fruit bowls around the world. Fruit number 4, pears, gentle, sweet, and steady. Pears are one of the most underestimated fruits in the produce aisle. They don't grab headlines like exotic berries or tropical superfoods, but they offer something just as valuable: gentleness. Their texture is soft, their sweetness mild, and their impact on blood sugar is surprisingly steady. With one of the lowest glycemic indexes among fruits, pears are a perfect fit for people managing diabetes. I often recommend them to older patients who have trouble chewing tougher fruits. I think of John and Ellen, a couple in their 70s who came to me for advice. John had type 2 diabetes, Ellen didn't. Every evening, instead of dessert, they sliced one pear, dusted it with a little cinnamon, and shared it together. John's blood sugar stayed stable, Ellen enjoyed the taste, and both of them gained something far deeper, a daily ritual of connection. John once told me, "Doctor, this pear isn't just food, it's part of our marriage." That's when you realize that food is never just nutrients, it's also about relationships, habits, and meaning. History's great leaders have known this too. Mahatma Gandhi, for example, lived much of his life on simple, plant-based foods. He spoke often about fruits like pears and bananas, not for luxury, but for their gentleness on the body and clarity of mind. Even Pope Francis, in his efforts to promote healthier living within the Vatican, has emphasized the importance of simple, natural foods over processed indulgences. These choices may seem small, but for people in positions of immense responsibility, maintaining steady energy and mental clarity is non-negotiable. The pear, in many ways, embodies that philosophy. It doesn't overwhelm your system, it supports it quietly. It doesn't spike your sugar, it guides it gently. And for older adults, especially those navigating the challenges of diabetes, that steady hand is often exactly what the body needs. When patients ask me if pears are worth it, I remind them sometimes the gentlest foods offer the greatest stability, and stability, especially after 50, is one of the most valuable forms of strength. Lessons from research and personal practice. Over decades of practice, one pattern has always stood out to me. People who make room for fruit in their diets tend to eat less processed junk. It's as if the natural sweetness and fiber of fruit crowd out the cravings for cookies and candy. What follows is not just better lab results, lower cholesterol, steadier blood sugar, but also visible shifts in energy, mood, and daily performance. Science has consistently confirmed what I see in the clinic. A large Harvard study from 2013, involving over 180,000 participants, showed that eating more whole fruits, especially apples, blueberries, and grapes, was linked to a reduced risk of type 2 diabetes. But there was a catch. The benefits came from whole fruits, not juices. Once the fiber and structure are stripped away, juice behaves almost like soda. The protective design nature built into the fruit is gone. Even some of the most powerful figures in the world have had to face this truth. Bill Clinton, after his quadruple bypass surgery, admitted publicly that his doctors pushed him toward a plant-heavy diet rich in fruits and vegetables. For a man once famous for his love of fast food, that shift wasn't easy, but it was life-saving. His story illustrates the principle I emphasize with my own patients. Nutrition is not about deprivation, it's about smart replacement. When Clinton swapped burgers for beans, soda for water, and candy for fruit, he wasn't giving something up. He was gaining time and extending his future. Angela Merkel, who led Germany for 16 years, provides another example. Known for her tireless work ethic, Merkel relied on modest, simple meals, fruit, yogurt, vegetables. Her colleagues often remarked on her discipline, understanding that sustained focus in politics or in any field requires stability of body. She lived the lesson many patients learn later in life. When your diet is steady, your mind stays steady too. Even leaders outside politics grasp this. Apple's Tim Cook, a man who runs one of the most influential companies in the world, is known for his strict routines. His diet includes fruit and lean foods paired with early morning workouts. He embodies a principle I've seen time and again: discipline in health choices creates clarity and resilience in leadership. From my perspective as a physician, the rule is simple. Health isn't built by cutting everything out, it's built by what you consistently add in. Replace the afternoon cookie with an apple. Replace the candy bar with a handful of blueberries. Replace soda with sparkling water and a slice of lemon. Every replacement is not just the absence of harm, it's the presence of healing. That's why, in both my clinic and my own home, I never frame fruit as something to fear. I teach replacement, not restriction. Because the science is clear, and history, even from the lives of presidents, chancellors, and CEOs, reminds us of the same truth. Small, consistent choices are the foundation of resilience after 50. Beyond the plate. Food is never just about calories or vitamins. It's about how those choices ripple through the rest of our lives. After 50, every bite matters more because the body no longer forgives the same mistakes it once did. What you eat begins to shape not only your health numbers, but how long you stay active, how clearly you think, and how much energy you have to give to your family, your work, and your passions. I've seen men in their 60s who believed their prime years were over. One small change, replacing a pastry with an apple or trading soda for sparkling water, suddenly gave them the energy to get back on the golf course. I've seen women in their 70s who once felt locked into a cycle of medications. discovered that with consistent adjustments, adding fruit, walking daily, reducing processed foods, they could work with their doctors to cut back on pills. And I've seen grandparents in their 80s, once afraid they'd lose their independence, light up with joy because they had the stamina to chase after grandchildren again. The same lessons apply at the very top of society. Jimmy Carter, even into his 90s, often spoke about tending his garden and eating fresh fruits and vegetables. It wasn't glamour, it was discipline, and that discipline gave him resilience late into life. Queen Elizabeth II lived past 96, and while her routine was modest, it included fruit, tea, and balanced meals that nourished her body without excess. Her longevity wasn't the result of miracle treatments, but of small, steady habits practiced for decades. In the business world, leaders like Jeff Bezos eventually embraced the reality that health fuels performance. As he aged, he shifted toward healthier eating, understanding that even in the high-pressure world of global leadership, sustainable energy comes from whole foods, movement, and balance, not shortcuts. The pattern is universal. Whether you're a global leader, a billionaire, or a retiree enjoying your grandchildren, the fundamentals don't change. Whole fruits, balanced meals, daily movement, these are the anchors of vitality after 50. As a physician, the most rewarding part isn't just watching cholesterol fall or blood sugar stabilize, though those numbers matter. The real joy comes when patients realize they are still capable of building strength, creating joyful rituals, and writing new chapters of health at any age. Because beyond the nutrients, food offers something even more valuable: freedom. The freedom to keep living fully, to love deeply, and to keep moving forward with resilience. So, what's the real takeaway here? If you're living with diabetes, you don't have to live in fear of fruit. You just need to choose wisely. Apples, berries, citrus fruits, and pears. Simple, everyday foods that can become powerful allies for your health after 50. But this isn't only about fruit. It's about the daily practice of caring for yourself, the small rituals that stack up into resilience. The decision to replace fear with knowledge, restriction with abundance, and loneliness with the joy of sharing food with the people you love. Every time you take a bite of an apple, a handful of berries, a slice of grapefruit, or a pear, you're sending your body a message. I choose strength. I choose vitality. I choose life. And that, my friends, is the most powerful medicine you'll ever take. If this message inspired you, I'd love for you to pass it on. Give this video a like, share it with someone you care about, and don't forget to subscribe to Senior Health After 50, because your health journey is just beginning, and I want to walk it with you.